Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to show you how to knit the Flax Sweater Pattern by Tin Can Knits. Go ahead and cast on the collar that you like in the size that you like and finish that first. And I am following the medium, let's see, I think it's the medium large size. It's 5 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, medium large size for this demonstration. So I'm all set up. So the first thing that I am ready to do now is I'm going to do a round of increase rows. So it says all options, next round, knit, increasing, and then you've got to find your size. So I'm 5 in, so 5 in on the bold adult sizes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to do 24 increases. So knit increasing 24 stitches evenly spaced. And then the line after that gives you your final stitch count after you've increased everything. So my final stitch count will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 114 stitches after I'm done. So just so you know, this kind of dumped you in the deep end here. Most patterns will explain exactly how they want you to do your increases. This pattern left you to your own devices to figure this out. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can kind of try and quickly do some math. But a resource that I found last night that I thought was really good was this increase calculator, and it's at www.worldknits.com/knitting calculators, and I'm going to put that resource on the description in the video so you can use it. But I also went ahead and made a little handout that shows you exactly what you should do to do the increases. So for mine is medium large, and I go down to the bottom and it says 90 cast on stitches. It wants me to increase 24 to end with 114 final stitches. And so this is the pattern that I should use to do this increase round. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to show you how to read this. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my beginning of round marker on, and you want to use something that is different than all your other markers. So I have a little lobster. I'm going to put my lobster claw right there, and this is now my beginning of round marker. So I'm going to knit 2. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to make 1. That's an increase. Make 1 and then knit 3 times. So I'm going to do a make 1. Let's see, it would be, I'm going to do a make 1 right. Yeah, so this is how you'll do this. So a make 1 right. You take this ladder right here and take your left needle and you lift that ladder up like that. And then you take your right knitting needle and you go in to that front rung, and then you knit that. There, and that's my increase. So that's a make 1 right increase. And those are the types of increases that I'm going to be using for my increase row. And I'm choosing that because it's a lot more hidden than the knit front back. So this is going to kind of lay a lot more flatter. And it will kind of mess up that increase count on this increase calculator. You want to use a make 1 left or a make 1 right increase, not a knit front back. So let's just go ahead and do make 1 rights all the way around this. So that was my first one, make 1 right. Now I'm going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, And now I'm going to make one right again. So I'm going to lift that rung there, insert my needle, and knit that stitch. Okay, and then knit 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. That's my second time doing that. I'm going to do it one more time. So make one right, lift that rung there, and knit into that front rung. Okay, and then knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've done it 3 times. Now it wants me to do make one right and knit for 17 times. So I am not going to be able to keep track of that. So I'm going to do some hash marks along the way. All right, so make one right. And then knit 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 1 time. Hash mark. Okay, make one right. It's harder for me to do that continental style. Make one right and then knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second time. Okay, make one right. One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to speed up and then I'll meet you when I'm done with this make one right, knit 4 17 times. Okay, I just finished those 17 repeats. And now the next thing I'm going to do is make one right and knit 3 times. So make one right. And then knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Make one right. And knit 1, 2, 3. Last time. Make one right. And knit 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now it says make one right and knit 2. So make one right and knit 2. And it wound up perfect. I am back to my beginning of round marker. So I'm going to go ahead and count and make sure that I'm winding up at my new stitch count at 114 stitches. All right, I am back and I have the right number of stitches. So that's the first time I ever used that knitting calculator and for these types of increases, and I highly recommend that. That was actually really easy than doing the math myself, so definitely check that out. Okay, so the next thing after, let's see, now we're gonna do our marker setup. So I'm gonna locate my place, which is for me 5N on adult. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it says purl 15 for me. I'm just gonna circle them. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and 42. All right. So for my size, the medium large, so marker setup, purl, and then find your number. So mine's purl 15. So I'm gonna purl 15. 1, 2, and 15 pearls. Okay, now it says to place marker. PM means place marker. So this is your first raglan marker. So I'm going to go ahead and use this red one. I'm going to do all my raglans in red. Okay, now it says knit, and then you've got to find your corresponding number. So for me, it's knit 42. One, 2, 3, 4. 41, 42. Okay, now place your next raglan marker, and I have to run and grab more red markers. Okay, of course I'm out of red markers, so I'll do my last 2 raglans in pink. Okay, there we go. So now it tells me to do that again. So I'm going to just go right back to the beginning of that. I'm going to purl 15. 1, 2, and 15. Place marker. And then knit 42. 1, 2. 40, 41, 42. Perfect. And that brings me back to my beginning of round. All right. And now we can actually start to see this raglan garter stitch popping out. So there's my raglan. See all these purl stitches sitting on top? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, now that our marker setup is complete, is do our setup round 1. Okay, so I'm going to slip my marker. So this is where I start right here. It says to knit front and back, then knit to 2 stitches before the raglan marker. So let's do our knit front and back increase. So we go in, knitwise, knit, pull it through, but don't slip that off. Swing this needle around to the back, slip the needle through the yarn in the back, knit that, and then pull that yarn through and pop it off. And now you see we've just increased. We've got 2 on here instead of just the 1. Sorry, I keep on having to pull more yarn out. Okay, so we've knit front back, and now it's telling us to knit to 2 stitches before the raglan marker. So let's do that. And we're knitting across that garter stitch raglan, little accent here. Okay, now I'm stopping because I'm 2 stitches before the stitch marker, and now it's telling me to knit front back, knit 1, and then slip the marker. Okay, so let's knit front back again, do this increase, knit front back, okay, knit 1, and then slip the marker. Okay, and now it's telling us to repeat that in total 4 times. So that means we start right back up at knit front and back. So we do that now. knit the front and knit the back. And here's our increase. Now we knit to 2 stitches before the raglan marker. This is our longer stretch of stitches. Almost there. Okay. There's 2, and here's my next raglan marker. So I'm gonna knit front and back again. This is my knit front back increase. Then knit 1 and slip the marker, and now a knit front back increase because we're starting over. Okay, and now I'll have 2 on there, and now we knit to the next, to 2 stitches before the next raglan marker. Okay, there we go. There's my 2 stitches. Knit front and back. Knit 1. Slip marker. And start over. Knit front back. Knit to 2 before the raglan marker. There we go. There's 2. Now we're going to knit front and back. Knit 1. Slip your marker. And that ends that. That is the final time we had to do that. And now we're ready to move forward. So the next thing we're gonna do is the setup round 2. So the first thing you're gonna do is knit 1. Okay. Now you're gonna purl, and now find your corresponding number. Mine is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15. So I'm going to purl 15. And at this point too, this is a good time to add another stitch marker so that you can kind of show yourself where your garter stitch accent is. So I'm going to slip that on now. You can slip it on after you do your knit 1. Okay. So now I'm going to purl 15. One and 15. Okay. Now I'm gonna place my next marker. I know it doesn't say this in the pattern, but I do highly recommend you do this step so you can always kind of see your garter stitch raglan. So, and also make sure you use a different color than your raglan stitch markers. I will tell you why in a second, but just trust me on this for now. So I'm using a green one. So all my garter stitches are going to be green, and then my raglan stitch markers are going to be red and pink because I ran out of red, but these are going to signal to me that I'm going to increase here. So if that doesn't make sense yet, don't worry, but just trust me. Okay. So now it's saying we just completed my purl 15, and now it's telling me to knit 1 and then slip the marker. Oop. Okay. Now it tells me to knit to my next marker. So you're just going to knit all the way across. Okay, I have reached my next marker. This is my raglan marker. And now it says to slip the marker. And now I'm going to repeat from the beginning the setup round 2 because it tells me to do this twice. So we're going to knit 1. And then this is where I'm going to tell you to add your next garter stitch marker right there. Okay, now you're going to purl your number. So my number is 15, so I'm going to purl 15. Okay, that's 15, and now I'm going to tell you again, put your last garter stitch marker on here at this point. Boop. Okay, now back to the pattern. It says to knit 1, and then slip the marker. Okay. All right, now knit to your next marker. Okay, I've reached my marker here, my beginning of round, and slipped the marker. And we are done with setup round 2. All right, we're ready to turn to the next page. And now it says, the next thing it says is to continue to work the center, and then it gives your stitch count. Mine's 15. So the center 15 stitches on the sleeve in garter stitch, and the remainder of the pullover in stockinette stitch. You may find it helpful to place extra markers on each side of the garter panel. So that's what we actually just did. When I instructed you to put some extra markers there, these are the stitch markers that are showing you where your garter stitch panel is on the middle or the center of your sleeve. So the next thing we're going to do is round 1. And this round is your increase round. And if you look further down, round 2 is not an increase round. So during round 1, we're going to be working the increases on the sides here. And then round 2, we're only going to be working purl stitches in between this garter, and we're not going to be doing any increases on round 2. So for me, how I keep track of where I'm at, because you're gonna repeat round 1 and round 2. For me, I'm gonna do it 18 times. So you're gonna be doing this for a little while. It's gonna shape your whole yoke. So I write a little card, and on one side of my card I say increases knit. So this is gonna tell me I am increasing this round, which means I'm only knitting, no purling. On my other side of my card, I write no increase, purls. So that's where I'm going to add my purls. Okay, so we are on an increase row. So I'm going to just have this increase side up. Round 1, knit front back. Okay, and we've already slipped our beginning of round stitch marker. So I'm going to knit front back on this stitch. This is my increase. Okay, and then now I'm going to knit to 2 stitches before the raglan marker. Okay, so slip that one, and you're going to knit all the way to 2 stitches before the raglan marker. Okay, now your raglan marker is the red one, where I have the red one. This green one is the garter panel marker. So the pattern's kind of not thinking this is there, okay? So you're gonna go to 2 stitches before this raglan marker, and that's gonna put you right here. So knit front back, and then let's see, round 1. Now knit 1. I'm gonna slip this, knit 1 here, slip marker, okay, and now you're gonna do the same thing. Knit front back, now knit to 2 stitches before the raglan marker, okay. So here's my raglan marker. My raglan markers are pink and red. So here's 2 stitches before, knit front back, there's my increase, knit 1, slip marker, knit front back, knit to 2 stitches before the raglan increase, okay, and that's going to be right here because my raglan increase marker is this pink one, okay, so here, 2 stitches before my raglan increase stitch marker, the pink one, okay, knit front back, I'm going to slip this guy, knit 1, slip the marker, knit front back, knit to 2 stitches before the raglan stitch marker. Okay, here's my raglan stitch marker and my beginning of round marker. There's 2 stitches, so knit front back, knit 1 and slip the marker. Yay, we did it. Okay. So that is the end of round 1. Okay, we are on round 2 now. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my card from the increase knit to no increase and purl. And it's really just a remember to purl the garter panel. So you're not purling the entire round, you're just remembering to purl the garter panel. Okay, so round 2 says work as set, slipping markers as you come to them. Knit to the garter panel, purl the garter panel twice, and then knit to the end of the round. So what this means is you're going to be knitting everything in this round except for the stitches in the garter panel. You're going to be purling the garter panel. So we start off by knitting 2, and make sure you watch me on this because we actually have to do a little adjustment on our second garter panel stitch marker. So you can start off by knitting 2, 1, 2, slip your garter stitch panel marker, your first one. Now you're going to purl your number of stitches in your garter panel. So for me, that was 15. And again, you can kind of see your number if you just take a quick peek right up where it says continue to work the center, and then you can find your number again if you don't remember, but mine was 15. So you're gonna purl 15 in here. And I'm telling you that because we need to shift over the second stitch marker real quick. And this will be the last time you ever adjust this. But I'm purling 15. 1, 2, 3, 14, 15, okay. All right, so that's my 15. These are really tight. Okay, now I need to move this over. I need to move this stitch marker to the other side of this stitch because I only have 15 stitches in my garter panel. So how I'm going to do this, I'm just going to move this one stitch from the left needle to right. I'm just slipping it. I'm going to take this stitch marker off, and I'm going to slip the stitch back to the left needle, and then I'm going to put my stitch marker here. Okay. The reason why I had to do that is because during our last round where we increased, we actually increased on this side of the stitch marker, and that ended up creating one extra stitch where it shouldn't have been on this side. So we just needed to make that quick adjustment, and now I've got 15 stitches here between this panel, and I will always have, for me, 15 stitches in this panel. Okay, so now I can go ahead and knit. Slip this raglan marker and knit all the way to the next marker. And really you're going to knit all the way until you hit your garter panel stitch marker. Okay, I've hit my my raglan, so just slip that marker. That one doesn't matter this round. Knit until you hit your garter panel stitch marker, which for me is green. Okay, now I'm going to slip that, and now I'm going to remember to purl my number of stitches in this panel. So remember, for me it's 15. So I'm going to purl 15, and I already know I have to adjust this because I've added a stitch on this side. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to move this one over. So go ahead and purl your number. Okay, so that I've reached 15 purl stitches for myself. And oh, what do you know? There's one stitch hanging out here on the wrong side of this. So I'm just gonna slip this stitch to my right needle. I'm gonna move the stitch marker out of the way. I'm gonna slip this stitch back to my left needle, and I'm gonna pop this stitch marker on here. Okay, now I've got my 15. Always will be 15 in here. And now I can go ahead and knit my stitches, slip my raglan marker, and I'm going to knit all the way to the next stitch marker, which is going to be your beginning of round stitch marker. Okay, and now I've hit my beginning of round. I'm going to slip the stitch marker over, and now I'm back here. And so now we're going to go ahead and flip the card because I am now back to my round 1. And it says that we're going to repeat this. You'll find your own number, but mine is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to repeat this 18 times. So, and that means repeating round 1 and round 2 a total of 18 times. Okay, so we're back to round 1. So we're back to round 1, and this is my first repeat. So, we'll just go ahead and do a couple more of these together. So round 1 is knit front back, this first stitch, knit front, knit back, and then it says knit to 2 stitches before the raglan marker. So go ahead and just slip that garter panel marker. You're going to knit all the way to 2 stitches before. Okay, so now I'm 2 stitches before the raglan stitch marker, so I'm going to slip my stitch marker here, and I'm going to knit front and back, and then knit 1, slip your marker, and then knit front back. And once again, knit to 2 stitches before the raglan stitch marker. Okay, I'm 2 stitches before my raglan stitch marker, so I'm going to knit front and back, knit 1, slip your marker, then knit front back again, and then knit to 2 stitches before your raglan stitch marker. So I'm going to ignore my garter panel marker because that's not the one we care about this time. Okay, I am 2 stitches before my raglan stitch marker again. So I'm going to slip my garter panel stitch marker. Whoops. I'm going to knit front and back. I missed. Knit front and back. Knit 1. Slip my marker, knit front and back, and knit to 2 stitches before your raglan stitch marker. Okay, so here's my raglan stitch marker, and I have knit to 2 stitches before it. So knit front and back, knit 1, and slip the marker. Cool, and now I'm done with that round 1. Okay, round 2. So work as a set, slipping the markers as you come to them. So we're going to knit up to the garter panel stitch marker, slip the marker, and now remember we're purling all the stitches between these 2 garter panel stitch markers, and for me they're green. So purl, And we've already adjusted our stitch markers, so you don't have to worry about it again. So I purled all the way to my green stitch marker. So I'm going to slip my garter stitch marker, and now I'm going to knit. I'm going to knit to this raglan stitch marker. I'm going to slip the raglan stitch marker, and I'm going to knit all the way across. Okay, I've come to my next raglan stitch marker. I'm just going to slip it, and now I'm going to knit up to my garter panel stitch marker. I'm going to slip my garter stitch panel marker, and I'm going to purl all the stitches between the these stitch markers. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to get ready to knit, and I'm going to slip my garter panel stitch marker, and now I'm going to knit to my raglan stitch marker, and I'm going to slip my raglan stitch marker and knit to my next stitch marker. Okay, now we're back to the beginning of round raglan, and I'll slip it, and we've just completed round 2. So that was my first repeat of round 2. Now when we're ready to go back to round 1, I'm just going to remember to flip my card so I remember this is my increase round. This way, if you walk away from your work, you can, like, I typically just, sorry about my dogs, I walk away and I leave my card where it is so that I know when I come back I'm supposed to start with my increase round. And you can write on here too, round 1 is increase round, and round 2 is no increase, and just remember to purl the garter stitch panel. So we're back to round 1. I've flipped my card, and you just repeat the last 2 rounds that I just showed you. So hopefully that makes sense. And then you'll just, like I said, repeat those two rounds. So good luck.